The Boys finally ended. And what a disappointing final season and final episode. Everything in this season feels so empty. This doesn't feel like a story. It feels like a bunch of things glued together with no through line. It feels like just a little journey, you know? Like a little play in the schoolyard with the boys. And for a 5-season finale, you need more than just let's get the V1 and then spending 3 episodes getting the V1 followed by a full episode with the dog. And it's not that I'm mad about that episode, because that episode is probably one of the best ones in this season. It's because this season feels like a huge filler. It's just characters going back and forth with their ideas and their arcs. So let's stop for a minute. So I'm gonna organize this thing into little parts, okay? So I'm gonna talk about each character and what I didn't like, and then I'm gonna talk about the things that I like. There's some good sprinkled on there. So let's start with Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy comes back and they make this huge deal about him returning because he's one of the most strongest men in the Boys universe. In every episode we see him going back and forth on whether he's going to help Homelander or not. Make up your mind. And it's so annoying that he never makes up his mind. Then the reason he helps Homelander is because of Stormfront. I couldn't bite that. The reason why he helped Homelander was because of Stormfront. We never saw Soldier Boy and Stormfront talking or having a conversation, and it's even said in the series that Soldier Boy Huge Love was the other superhero on the team. He's in love with 2 women at the same time. Then when they don't need Soldier Boy again, he is back on the ice. Let's talk about another huge thing, Homelander. Since season 1 they've made this huge deal about how dangerous he is. His character got dumber and dumber, and I wasn't hoping for him to destroy everything and become fully evil like some people expected, but at least give me something like season 2 when he kills that bunch of people, something like that in this final season. We don't even get one of those scenes where he's fully raging against the humanity. It doesn't feel like he's smart anymore. He gets massacred against Butcher. He doesn't even put up a fight against the boys. I was hoping he would finally have the catharsis that they teased throughout season 1 and season 2 and season 3. I thought him becoming a god would somehow give him the license to finally start bashing everybody. But no, it's the same old Homelander going around and doing nothing. Now, other point. The boys as a group. For me, it feels like they have mystical superpowers now. They are everywhere all the time. They just teleport to whatever place the show wants them to be in. They invaded the White House with almost no consequences. There wasn't even a plan, a real plan. And I think that's a huge thing that made the first couple of seasons so good. Back then, they weren't these mystical superheroes that could appear everywhere. They didn't just appear in places. They were scared. They could have died. You don't feel any urgency anymore, because if they can just appear inside the White House, what more can they do? In the first couple of seasons, they were almost like spies, like a secret CIA or FBI group, doing things in the shadows, killing superheroes in the shadows. That's what made it cool. But they took away that factor. Now I don't really believe in the danger anymore, because they are just everywhere and can do everything. Every time they escape with no scratches, no consequences, nothing. And doing that once is one thing, but doing it over and over again makes everything feel convenient. Now, let's talk about each one of the boys. The show just keeps repeating itself with these characters. They don't add anything new to the Butcher, they don't add anything new to Huey, they don't add anything new to Starlight, they don't add anything new to Mother's Milk, Frenchie or Kimiko. And Kimiko is even worse this season because now she talks.
How? Fucking speech therapy and fucking therapy and so much fucking
Why couldn't she just be the girl who doesn't talk and is so cool? Why? You know, why did they give her lines? If they had a scene with her saying 6'7", 6'7", I would just, you know, Now, let's talk about Ryan and Sage. Ryan completely disappears for almost the entirety of the season, even though he should be one of the most important characters. Then, in the end, he suddenly comes back to fight Homelander. Oh my god. Then we have Sage, the smartest girl in the world who couldn't predict love. What am I watching? A Cartoon Network show? SpongeBob SquarePants? And this could have worked if they had made the relationship between Soldier Boy and Homelander much stronger, or if Sage's plan had actually felt intelligence. But instead, it feels convenient, and I think that's the real problem with this season. Now, let's talk about the priest and the red-haired girl, whose name I don't remember. The priest is one of the most simple characters in the entire show. We don't really know who he is, what is he doing here, why is he following Homelander, why is he betraying his own god because of Homelander, we don't know. He's just, we need a priest superhero, that's it. There's so many questions about him that never get answered. Then Ashley, that's her name, Ashley. One episode before the finale, she fully accepts the person she became. Then, in the finale, she suddenly understands that betraying Homelander is a better choice. Why? It happens in 2 seconds. And in the previous episode, they literally said she rejected the god part of herself.
I'm done. Don't threaten me with a good time. I'm serious. It's over. You will never hear from me ever again. Thank fuck. I'm free.
Then suddenly, no, actually we don't care about that anymore. I almost forgot how they wrote off important characters in this season. So let's start with Sage. Sage suddenly gets affected by Kimiko's new power and disappears from the story. I'm going to Disneyland. Why couldn't she just be in Disneyland for the entirety of this season? Please just get her in Disneyland, please. We didn't need her in this season. She just feels like a bumbling buffoon, you know? Why is she here? You know, I don't understand it. Then Soldier Boy gets frozen again because they don't need him anymore. Then Gen V girls, who people thought would have a much bigger role, are also immediately written off and sent away. It constantly feels like, okay, we don't need these characters anymore, go away. Honestly, maybe season 4 didn't need to exist. Maybe if they had mixed season 4 and season 5 together, it could have worked much better. But now, enough with the hate. Let's spread some positivity, because not everything is bad about The Boys' final season. There's some good sprinkled in, and let's talk about that. Let's start with the Deep. I don't know if it's because of the Reels propaganda and the memes, but I love almost everything about him this season. I didn't like how convenient he was for Starlight to fly him to the sea, but there's so much convenience in this season that I stopped caring. And honestly, it was a really good way to kill him off. We spent 5 seasons watching him neglect the only thing that made him special, the sea, and he gets killed by a sea creature. It's so poetic and good. I really loved his ending. I just feel it was a little convenient death, and it was. Then there's the Speedster. I also liked his ending. Him having the last laugh against Homelander was really cool, and the way he dies is genuinely great. You know, it's a good goodbye to one of the best characters in the show. And also, I liked Firecracker thing. You know, I said previously that my favorite episode was the dog episode because of Firecracker, because we see a character debating herself with the idea that maybe Homelander it's not her god, and seeing her betraying her god because of this fake god, it's just good. You know, why couldn't we have more of this? Why?
You know, if you're working on something, maybe I could help. I want to fight for the flag.
And that's the thing, you know, I think like The Boys needed to focus on the emotional core of the story and not the V1. I feel like they go to the V1 because they want to set up the next thing, and for me, it feels like they are Marvel, you know, Marvel does that stuff. And they were against Marvel. They were against the sequels and the prequels and the episode and the series with a random character. But now they are doing a series with a random character. So now let's talk about the finale. The ending itself isn't horrible. My big problem is how they got there, because I knew Butcher would die. I knew Homelander would die. Everybody, I think, knew deep in their bones that Butcher and Homelander would die. You know, it's the most obvious things. It's like seeing Breaking Bad and thinking, oh, Walter White will die in the end. It's like obvious, you know, but the how is what makes this story good, you know. The how Walter White is dead, but it's the good part about Breaking Bad. And the how we got Butcher and Homelander's death is what feels badly written. I like the dialogue between Huey and Butcher. I liked Butcher's death. I liked Homelander begging for his life, but the way they reached those moments was so badly written that sometimes I felt like that Homelander cinema meme where he's just staring with a straight face. For example, giving Soldier Boy's powers to Kimiko just because the script wants. Soldier Boy giving V1 to Homelander. Homelander doesn't really put up a fight. Also, you know, we have so many shortcuts and so many things that they done throughout this show, like for example, Black Noir being killed, Ashley opening the door for the boys to enter in the White House was also a thing. We have Ryan coming back, you know. The way they reach these moments are so badly written, because I like the dialogue between Huey and Butcher. I like that final dialogue. I like that Huey killed Butcher. I liked Butcher's death. I liked Homelander begging for his life. Those were good moments, you know, but I couldn't stop feeling empty. I wasn't really caring about that, you know. I don't know, man. I think because of that convenience that they take to everything, and because the episode is also so quick, everything just runs so quickly. Then Homeland is dead, then Butcher is dead, then we have a sequence where everybody is contemplating the deaths and everything is so quick. And I think like they could have spent more time developing these deaths and developing these battles, you know, and developing these sequences. Like for example, instead of having, I don't know, 5 minutes of Butcher and Homelander fight, maybe give a whole 30-minute sequence where they plan out how they are going to enter the White House and then explain who is the guards that are guarding Homelander, and then explain me things, give me something, give me more things. Because in the beginning they would do this, but I don't know, that's it. I don't know if you understand. If you like the ending, that's good for you. I hope you like the ending. It was an okay season. It was like a solid 6. I can't stop feeling empty. I started watching this show when I was 15 and now I'm 22. I feel old, man. No more Huey. No more diabolical stuff.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect.
It wasn't perfect.
I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better.
It could have been smarter, stronger, better. But that's how The Boys ended. Thank you for watching, and bye. And thank you, The Boys, for everything.